the question is the moment I felt most alone.
Alone? The year before I met him.
The year most alone?
Yeah.
Ooh, I actually have an answer for that.
The time I feel the most lonely is when I was in a crowd of people. When I was standing in a crowd. Like if I'm standing in Times Square.
When you ask that question, I think a lot of people think alone is kind of a bad thing, but I think for me, sometimes I like being alone because especially like I have like I can work better when I'm alone, or I can focus better, or my mind gets very.
It's sad, and then it's pathetic, and then it's so pathetic it's funny.
I had decided to stop going to college, and none of my friends were doing that. Everyone else I knew went to college, and I was going to move back home, which no one else was doing, and I had no idea what I was going to be doing, and I didn't have any friends left there, and I felt very alone.
We fell into a ditch. The next thing I remember is looking at my mom's side on the passenger side, and I thought she was dead. She was completely hit from the right side. I tried to resuscitate her. I then called the police and called an ambulance. It was still pouring rain, but I couldn't feel the rain because I was in such shock. We went to the hospital. I drove in the ambulance with my mom. And I spent the night there with my mom as she was, basically getting operated on. She suffered two broken ribs, a lacerated liver, and a collapsed lung. And this is, my car was totaled, so all my stuff in my lungs, I didn't have a single clue where it was. And the next day, I had to go to my first day of orientation for college. So I went, and as I was going through it, I was totally in shock. But when I finally got to my dorm room and finally had time to relax and sit down, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm in college. I don't have any parents to guide me, because my mom's in the hospital. So that basically was the most. That moment, that 15 minutes of just thinking about what next, what to do.
All my neighbors were leaving, and they were getting replaced by all these young people. And then September 11th happened. And then on October 11th, my ex-husband left, and I never saw him again. And then it was Halloween. And so it was like the first Halloween that I wasn't wearing a costume. I wasn't doing anything. I was by myself. And I was living in a college dorm. And I was walking home, and I was walking through the Lower East Side, and everybody I saw out was either a young person in groups having fun dressed in costumes, or was an old drunk man. And those were the only people who would talk to me. So I was walking home, and it's hey mommy, how are you? And I felt so alone and so vulnerable and so old in that moment, and it was just horrible.
You gotta be kind to yourself. You gotta be kind to yourself.
Find something you can grab on.
Push yourself out there to do something that puts you out of your own body, essentially. I know that's hard to say because I'm pretty outgoing, but do something you wouldn't expect to do.
I'd say really keep it up because although that wouldn't cure their loneliness, it's comforting, like really, it sucks.
alive. And it's a cliche to say, but like you really are very alive in those moments. And I think that the things that I've decided to do, which were probably a direct result of those feelings, though I didn't make those decisions in that moment, are some of the best decisions I've ever made. But you have to really be okay with just living in that horrible space for a while.
So in my experience, the solution to getting out of feeling alone was just to know that my instincts for myself were right, and that there were always going to be moments in my life that didn't feel right, but if I stayed true to my instincts, I was going to get past them.
You have to find something that internally inside you, not from somewhere else. You have to find something inside you that can keep you.
You have to really be able to just be with yourself. Just really and just look at all the horrible hidden places that are just really kind of being held up for you to look at that moment.
You got